back. Season 2, Episode 2. Welcome Olympic silver medalist, NCAA champion. How many time All-American?
If you count second teams, I was 7.
7-time All-American, a.k.a. Mad Mo, the original member, the OG member of Tinman Elite. Morgan Heartthrob Pearson, the king of giving nicknames, New Jersey's finest. Welcome to the pod. Morgan is one of the biggest, I would say one of the bigger influencers in the Boulder running community from like the start. I know Klecker, credits you a ton for like teaching him how to work hard, and I certainly could put myself in that same category where when I first showed up to Boulder, I knew nothing about what it took to be a professional runner, how hard you actually had to work, and all the effort you had to pour into this sport. And I basically was just a sponge to everything that you said and to the type of training we did, as stupid as it was maybe sometimes, ripping reps at Foothills Community Park together. But I certainly credit you for that. And I just wanted to ask you right off the bat, where did that kind of work ethic and confidence demeanor come from? Was that built during your time at CU, or you always had that kind of in like swagger within you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think maybe it started in high school or like even before when I was on the swim team at Berkeley Aquatic.
Shout out
Berkeley Aquatic Club. And thanks for the intro, by the way. And yeah, our coach was just like kind of an old school hardcore coach. We swam in this dingy, this pool that was just like a ditch filled with water basically, and just got after it every day. And like it probably wasn't the smartest way to train, but I really do think that kind of taught me like hard work and just enjoying that. I think that's the key thing, is just enjoying the grind, as cliche as that sound. But if you're gonna,
and all your battles with the Rosa brothers, then
well, I don't know about that. Those guys were just a minute ahead of me. But yeah, I mean, I think the swimming, and then I started running, and then it'd be go to high school track practice from 3 to 4:30, and then swim from 5 to 7 every day. Like for 3 or 4 years in high school, it's like it's pretty. You just kind of if that's your norm, like you're pretty used to working hard, and then you get to college and you just want to push it, and like you said, maybe sometimes dumb, but yeah, I think that's where it came from.
You almost have to do something dumb at some point in your career in order to like press to the next level, and then that's what I felt like. I definitely did that when I got to Boulder, where all of a sudden like it was all new training. Like I'd never done hill sprints beforehand. Like I'd never run on grass or like anything as aggressive as like Foothills Community and things like that. So like I definitely like credit that for sure.
No, I agree. I mean, even for me, like in the triathlon, like my first couple of years, I was all right, but it really, like I'd say during the COVID shutdown, there's no racing, and like honestly, we were just talking about with the Achilles, I wasn't really running much, and I just biked like I mean, I did a 400K bike ride just for fun, like just because I was like I just wanted to push it.
Yeah.
And just that amount of biking, and yeah, I wanted to set a goal, but just kind of like you said, kind of risking it. And I've talked to that with other people, where you don't need to do it for your whole career, but yeah, there comes a point where it's kind of like you got to take a risk, I mean,
it sounds like as corny as it sounds, like you got to train insane or remain the same.
Yeah, what's the rule I say is overtrain until it's not overtraining.
Exactly.
Which I know it sounds stupid, but like you kind of need to do it at a certain point. You just kind of got to feel like shit all the time until you don't. And
exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but if you're serious.
I remember another one kind of like along that same vein was like Parker Stenson, I think. I don't know if Parker took it from someone else, but I'll credit him for it here, is like the best runners are the best compensators. The best, professional runners and the best athletes are also the best compensators. It's like the people that despite their weaknesses or despite whatever hamstring injury or whatever thing, they can keep pressing and they can keep their season going,
I totally agree. I mean, we're, again, to bring it back to the Achilles stuff, like I think as elite athletes, our bodies just learn how to compensate and then compensate, and eventually something breaks and a lot of times it's the Achilles. So I would agree with that for sure.
I remember saying like early on in my career that the Achilles was like one injury that I was never going to like deal with. That if I ever got like a really bad Achilles injury, I would probably just call it quits and retire. And now that's been kind of like my reoccurring injury throughout my career, and I'm still pressing through it, you know, still waking up in the mornings like with that like stiffness and just like that hobble walk. And it is something where I was actually watching like have you seen the new David Beckham documentary on Netflix?
Yeah, I did watch it.
And then
his Achilles
at the end of it was he was like, that was kind of this like breaking point for him.
Yeah.
Where it was like hobbling in the morning, like he felt like he couldn't move the same way, and that was the breaking point. And I was listening to that like, fuck, man.
Well, I'm sure. I know when he was playing that game, he's like, oh, I felt my Achilles. Like I got like tight myself.
Yeah, dude, I had like
the Achilles is just. I mean, I've been through it. You've been through it. A lot of people have, and
it's almost a rite of passage.
It's like
you're gonna put that much load on it. Like eventually, that little tendon is gonna get pissed off.
Yeah. Especially wearing spikes and running 10K in spikes or 5K in spikes.
Yes, dude. I literally can't imagine.
Yeah.
I ran 10Ks in college, and now I couldn't even imagine doing a 10K just because of like the wear that it's gonna put on your body like after the race.
Yeah, and you'd say the spikes are more supportive now anyways.
Oh, absolutely.
But like,
so I can't actually imagine what it used to be like.
I'm thinking about running a track race, and I was looking at the Adidas look pretty.
They're really aggressive. They're really aggressive.
Yeah. I thought they looked pretty like plush.
Well, I guess like the 10K spikes, they are really plush, you know, like they are very similar to more of like a flat than they are like a true spike, I would say.
Okay.
It's like, you remember those old Nike shoes that like you'd see Rupp wearing, and you're like, oh, those are sick, where you have like a prototype, like like a spike plate on it. I would say it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
Whereas the shoe that I race in is actually built for like more like 815, but it has like the carbon plate and has just like such a huge pop that I just like force myself to wear that one instead.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm getting my true bang for the buck when it comes to like.
Well, when you're running, you know, you're at speed. Like you need the fastest shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I thought they just look good. Like the Nike's fine, but I don't know. I need to look into the spikes. I'm gonna actually do the race.
So take me back to kind of like the start of your professional career. So like you were a part, you know, of course, like if any of you listeners don't know, Morgan was a part of like one of the most historic NCAA cross country teams of all time. A huge influence on me, like you, Jake Kerr, Zamar, Connor, Pierce, you know, that squad was something that I always, at every Wisco and meet, you know, I was always like, oh, there they are. They're the Buffs, you know. Wow. That was such an exciting core group where I remember always hearing stories of you guys like battling it out on mags and that sort of thing. I guess talk to me about transitioning from going from such a strong team like that to then all of a sudden being solo, training in Boulder, vacuuming up at Macy's at, you know, after hours and like working those like part-time jobs to make professional running work.
Yeah. So I think in college, I mean, we did have a really strong team. I mean, we won nationals twice for cross country. Like you said, you know, really good group of guys, and just an amazing team. But personally, I felt individually I was underperforming a lot. You know, not that it will work out. You know, you kind of measure yourself in training, and I felt, you know, Pierce, one of my best friends, was like getting third at NCAA cross, and I was like.
He was dogging it half the time.
And then I was 25th, and I was like, I literally will run every step with this guy in training and like drop him at times. Like you said, he was a smart trainer. I was probably pushing it a little bit, but still, like, I was just like, there's something there. I want to like give myself a year to see like, is this, you know, am I actually good, or am I like, you know, everyone thinks they're good when they're just training, but you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I'm going to give myself a year. And yeah, I came out of college. No agents approached me, no sponsors. I mean, I probably could have reached out to people and done something, but I was just stupid. Like, I didn't really know. And, I guess the only person that reached out was Brad Hudson. And at the time he just had like no one on his team. This is before the Parker and that whole like, that crew kind of joined, like Parker and Trevor and Moran and all that. Like before that group was like signed up, he was like talking to me, and I was like, I don't really want to like, I didn't know much about him, whatever. So I kind of started doing my own thing with Tinman training me remotely, and Yeah, I mean, I did well the first, like the first fall out of college, I did do pretty well, and I did, get a contract. And yeah, I think part of that was just training alone, and part of that was like conquering the mental side of the sport, where like in college you kind of like lean on your teammates, and you're like constantly comparing yourself. But when you're training alone and working these odd jobs, I would say you kind of find out like why you want to do it. And it's more for like, it's hard to put into words, but like there's something within you that you find out something about yourself. And then when you get to the race, it's almost the pressure's off. You're excited to be there, and you're it's just an expression of what you've been doing, just the training and like all the odd jobs I'm working to kind of support myself. Like, and when I got to these races, I was just mentally so much stronger.
Yeah, you must have had a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah,
like thinking like I'm showing up without a shiny pro kit.
Yeah,
like I'm showing up like I'm working 9 to 5s, part time, like hustling in this way. Like,
yeah,
sure. I mean, like I know when I showed up, I think you might have just started being with 361 at the time.
Yeah,
but like you still carry that kind of like chip on the shoulder. Like I'm gonna show people like what I'm all about. I'm gonna drag them out in the deep water and make them.
Yeah,
like I remember that was the thing that one of my favorite memories of us together racing, and it is really like you built the culture of like the hard work that like Tinman Elite was built off of. Like that was you, and that swagger that you held. And this story I'll tell briefly is like before your first club cross country win was when we like the ADP guys were showing up, and you basically said in Kentucky like, I'm going out in like 420 mile.
Yeah, I was joking.
And I'm just gonna see what like Lenny and Shaddy and these guys, like if they're gonna come with me or not. Like we're gonna see if they have the balls or not. And you just had this infectious swagger that I think a lot of people can spend their whole careers working with sports therapists, and you just had it, that fire.
Yeah.
So like honestly unwarranted confidence at that time, and you went out and you proved it. Like I'm so curious, like where that champion mindset like was cultivated from. Was it just like just have fun with it and just go for it, like nothing to lose? Or
yeah, I mean, I think that's just ingrained in me, like, and it's honestly a big reason why I changed to doing triathlon. And like I just want to be the best at like I'm not okay with just being a guy on the team, as kind of shitty as that might sound. Like I want to stand out, and I want to achieve something for myself. I don't know what that comes from, but that's always kind of driven me. And that club cross race was just like so long ago now, but it's kind of funny because in my mind it was actually like a tactical decision to go out so hard, because it was like a big funnel to this crazy downhill.
That's right.
And
you're obsessed with getting to that turn,
because you're coming from college cross country where it's like everyone goes out in a 60, and it's just all these guys that are really close to your level, a few guys up the road that are better than you, and then a ton of guys that are like between like
and you can't get caught
between like 1340 to 14 flat guys. There's like 200 guys that can do that. And we went to that race. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a clusterfuck going down and doing to this like funnel. So I was like, I'm just going to go out really hard. And I think I went through the first K in like 2:34. I mean, there was a big downhill, so it sounds faster. And I was just like, I like looked back, and there was like a 50-meter gap. And then I kind of eased off the gas, but like
it's also freezing cold.
Yeah.
Like everyone had like hats and gloves.
Yeah.
Except for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So like you get to that gap, and you kind of ease up, and like you're waiting for guys to come, and you're like, well, they're not here. This feels pretty easy. So then it's like the switch goes from like, all right, maybe I'm going to go for it. And that's kind of the idea of that race. So I eventually did get caught. And then I will say I got caught by a group of like 12 guys or 10 guys. And then I finished fourth, which I was pretty proud of myself for, hanging in there and beating some guys. So, and like, that was a really fun team race, I think. And I think also I just kind of made the decision that I was going to turn to the triathlon. So I think there was a lot of, pressure off. Like I didn't feel this like, oh, I need to like win this race. Like, I probably could have won that race if I ran it smarter, but I don't know. We won as a team, and it was really fun. And
yeah, Morgan before that race. Sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, like like that's it. Like, you can't really change it. And
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not
Before that race, Morgan basically told us like, "Hey, we're gonna win this," you know. And when we go on the podium stand, like we're gonna need to put something on. Like we need to wear something, you know. And Morgan brought up to like that little mountain house I stayed in up at Sugarloaf.
Yeah.
Like we used to like hot tub and grill.
Yeah.
First we moved to Boulder.
Yeah.
And like he just came up with like Walmart, you know, like extra large white T-shirts and just Sharpied on like Tin Man and like gave it to all of us and was like, "Hey, this is what we're wearing on the podium stand." And
Yeah.
none of us had any business, you know, like thinking that we could win that race.
Well,
like, but you thought we could.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in 2013 in college we won, and it just you know, it's different. You know, college team, you're training together all summer, and that one we kind of came together like a month before the race or 2 months, but like it kind of had the same vibe of, you know, we're all kind of like, you know, because back then Oklahoma State was like the best, so same vibe, but also like some of the same runners, Shadrack and like Kiravel and that, but like. You just have that good team camaraderie, and like I really think that counts for a lot, like especially in cross country.
It's infectious. Like
Yeah.
energy. If you're out there running for your teammates and you're out there like with a purpose past just yourself, like,
Yeah.
it's gonna carry you so far, especially in cross country.
Yeah, and like I actually, you know, I fast forward to the Olympics in Tokyo, and like in the relay, like I think we had a team chemistry. You know, we all know each other, but like especially during those Olympics, we kind of like we became a lot closer. And I do think some relays and some cross country, it might not seem like you're leaning on your team as much as, you know, soccer or another sport, but I really do think like that means something. I mean, look at like the US sprinters.
Do you get more nervous before like the team events? Like because you have a bad transition and a penalty or something, like you're fucking it up for the whole team. You know, it's not just yourself out there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've never been that Olympic relay was like the most nervous I've ever been for a race.
Yeah.
So yes, to answer the question. I mean, the non-Olympic ones, I haven't done a ton, but you get pretty nervous. I mean, they put a lot of, like the Olympic selection puts a lot of weight on the relays. So it's almost that weight that, I mean, I've already qualified. So I think if I do one before, it'll be different, but that weight you feel of like, oh, they're looking at me for qualification. Because you know, obviously the chances of getting a medal in the relay is higher, and that's what they want, to get as many medals as they can. So, and if I'm like going too fast, ask questions. But yeah, that's almost the pressure you feel in the non-Olympic ones. But that Olympic one, because I was anchor, and you're just like, we're in second right now, and like
gotta hold for silver.
Like we gotta at least get a bronze, you know, like I gotta get a medal. Like
how close was it at the end with like the person coming behind you at bronze?
Well, I mean, Vince passed me on the bike. I mean, it's a pretty good rate. Like, it's worth watching. But so Vince he was probably 8 seconds behind me off the run. I mean, I think I came into transition like maybe like 4 seconds behind him, and then I probably ran like 15 seconds faster than him, and then Alex was like 10 seconds in front of me. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of pressure, but
no, that's so exciting. That silver medal was like, I remember we all went like ballistic in like all our group chats and everything, where it was like first Big Horn Triad Club member, bringing home the medal and everything, and like it was something where it was a crazy moment for all of us. I remember going on a run after you won the silver medal, and I remember saying like, do you guys remember like when Morgan first decided to go to triathlon? And it was something that you just like referred to, but didn't say it as bold as you did to maybe us.
Yeah.
When you left for triathlon, you were leaving because you wanted to be a gold medalist, because you wanted to be the best in the sport, and you didn't want to just be, like you said, another guy on the track that like, maybe you could win a few invitational races, but like if you're not there winning a gold medal, that wasn't enough for you. And like that's just, that championship mindset is infectious, and it's huge. Thank you again to our sponsors, Pillar Performance. I got some here. For those watching on YouTube, I love the berry, triple magnesium professional recovery, helps you recover fast from your runs, helps you sleep better. I know Ollie Herrera, George Mills, both sub 350 milers are ripping this stuff right now. Use code TINTALK for 50% off your next order. Highly recommend trying it. It's a game changer for me to get my sleep and to feel better the next day. They also have all sorts of different products, like their ultra immunity supplements that I take every day also to stay healthy. And I also take the joint armor to help my body and my tendons feeling good day in and day out. Go check out Pillar Performance online now. Use code TINTALK, 50% off. Support the pod. Support a great up-and-coming brand that is truly making a difference for our sport today. Thank you so much for this support. So I want to break down this year for you, because it was such a...
This past year.
Yeah, this past year.
Yeah.
It was crazy to watch you from afar and see the lack of success you were having early on. I mean, I'll just read it out right now and just stop me if any of this is wrong. But your 2023 season, you went from a DNS in Abu Dhabi to 44th in Yokohama at the World Triathlon Championship Series. And then you DNF'd after that in Calgary. And then you were 31st at the Sprint Championships in Hamburg. And then all of a sudden, everything aligns, everything starts clicking, and you become an Olympic, you become an Olympian again at this test event. Basically how it works in triathlon, you can explain it much better than I have, but they basically have this test event, and Morgan finished 6th, and that was good enough to qualify for the Paris Olympics coming up this summer. And I just kind of you don't have to break down every single thing that was going on, but I really want to know how you dealt with those lows of those races. 44th, that's so far away from your standard, and then all of a sudden being at the top of your game at 6 against all the best runners and triathletes in the world. How did that all play out, and how did you keep yourself going through those tough times?
I mean, I was basically injured all year. I don't know, there's no way around it. I had I got an MRI right after my last race in Spain, so I had basically it's my pelvis had bone damage, and it's just creating all this back pain and glute pain and hamstring, depending on the course, and just the day and how things are. Something in the posterior chain would, explode, especially in an Olympic distance race. So yeah, I mean, the first race in Abu Dhabi, I was sick. I got COVID. Didn't want to, I was there's no point in me racing. I'm sick. Kind of a bummer. Kind of a long way to go.
It's crazy. I when I think of what it's funny how runners, they're kind of oh, you want to get these nice little flights to LA, and you're packing a couple pairs of shorts, and you're racing, and that's it. And then meanwhile, I see horror stories of Matt Mack and others losing their bike and all the equipment.
I remember
crazy what you guys have to go through, and then all of a sudden have to race in different places around the world. Diamond League, it's in Europe basically.
Yeah. Well, it's tough.
That circuit is insane to go from Doha to Japan to Canada to Germany to then back to Paris. It's just
yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, it is tough, but actually, having qualified for next year, it's almost a positive. That's another positive. I'm not going to go to Abu Dhabi next March, even though there is a race there. I'm going to do some lower level races or something like that. So yeah, I mean, it is tough. I mean, it's cool. I've seen tons of countries and been all over the world, but when the goal is performance, it doesn't make it easy. But yeah, back to the season, so my back was pretty much just causing me pain this whole season. I mean, starting in Yokohama, I don't know exactly, I'm still getting to the bottom of it now. I don't know exactly how it started, exactly why it started. I will say I pulled my hamstring 2 weeks before that race, just doing a track workout, and
before the test event.
No, before Yokohama.
Before Yokohama.
The one I got 40s. So I thought at the time, I pulled my hamstring just before this race, and it felt good enough to run, but maybe you do a hard race, it's almost 2 hours, and you're running. It was raining and cold and stuff, so I thought maybe that's why that happened. And then Cagliari, that was just 2 weeks later. So I was like, well, it's still probably aggravated. And I was also, that was the start of another problem I dealt with. If you're watching, you can see the scar on my face. I got like a really bad infection, and it was really like,
forgot about that.
yeah, it was insane. Like I have like a Harry Potter scar, but at the time I looked like the Avatar because there was like swelling in my face.
That's so scary.
It was so that, like, an injury is frustrating because you're trying to perform, but like a sickness where it's just random is like,
yeah,
like 3 times as frustrating because you're like, at least an injury, like I probably made some bad decisions,
sure,
did something and messed up my body, or could have, gotten extra massages or done a different lifting program. Like you feel like it's partially your fault. At least that's how I feel. But this sickness was just, I was out for literally a month. like a 5-minute mile and that shouldn't be that hard. Like that would feel like all out for me. Like I'd go to the track and run a 5-minute mile and just be like, I can't do it. Like my heart rate would be like 185.
So you must have been just so low, like mentally, physically.
That was the lowest. So that was the lowest point. I did this group ride in Boulder, and I'm usually one of the better guys there. Mm-hmm. Like the stages group ride, I got dropped in 10 minutes, and I almost quit. That was the closest I was to giving up and just quitting the sport and being like,
it's not worth it.
Well, I was just like, listen, I went to the Olympics. I got a silver medal in the relay. That's pretty cool. So really cool to hang my hat on that. Like that might have been my limit, or that might have been it. Yeah. And cause I just felt like I was, and last year, 2022, I was basically injured the whole year with the Achilles thing. My ankle was all messed up. And so it was just like, I just felt like I'm running into a wall of I train really well. I train hard. I take it seriously. Last year messed up the ankle. Now I'm doing all this stuff, spending every day I'm in the gym doing mobility, stretching. I'm getting massages multiple times a week, PT, doing everything to avoid injuries. And now I'm getting this crazy sickness. So it was really hard for me. And I've never felt like that in my life of maybe that's it. And in that moment, I really did.
So what kept you going?
Yeah, I mean, just
stubbornness.
I don't know. Yeah, stubbornness, my coach, family, just not knowing what else to do with my life. And almost being I'm not going to quit in the middle of the season. I feel like that was the main, I'm going to at least finish the job of this year. I right after Tokyo, the individual race, I kind of committed to doing Paris in my head, and I think that is what kind of came to mind. I was I know I went, I was dealing with a lot before the Tokyo Olympics, and I just was I want to give myself a chance for the individual race. And I don't know, I think I kind of, like I said, my family, my coach, and everyone kind of reminded me of that, and it just. Yeah, it took me a while. I went to Hamburg and got 31st. I was basically fat and out of shape because I didn't train for a month and was sick. And then,
were you confident then? Were you that same Morgan that I was talking about? At the beginning, where you just knew that, no, not in Hamburg, but did you still deep down have that confidence that you knew you could get it done? Or was it more just just go through the motions?
I mean,
you see what I'm getting?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And I'd say I almost, because it wasn't I'm not, in my mind, I was I know I can go to WTS and get on the podium.
Yeah.
Go to the test event and get top 8, which qualified. It wasn't oh, I don't know if I can do it anymore. It was just maybe, am I just has my luck worn out? Or am I just, you can't, every athlete, they, eventually they retire, and you see the guys, the runners that are just, they're injured and there's, it's just I was am I at that point in my career where it's maybe once a year I can bring it together for a good race. Mm-hmm. But it's almost and the thing about the sickness was, it was it just felt like bad luck. I don't know how else to say it. It just felt
world was against
and
clicking.
And then even in it kind of thought back to Abu Dhabi where I got COVID. It was it's just this year just felt cursed almost. And it So that almost helped me get through it, the sense of, I feel like it's like the harder you try, the worse it's going.
Did you let go then during that time of your expectations? Like, did you still have the expectation going to Paris? Like, hey, I'm going to qualify.
Well, I'll tell you, like, I wasn't at that time, like between Cagliari, like, I don't know, around Hamburg. I didn't qualify for the Paris test event. Like, I was
You don't even qualify for the race.
No, because it's descending orderless, and I had one good race last year. I raced twice, and the first one I got a mechanical. Second one I did really well. This year I hadn't done shit all year because of what I just told you. So I was not on the start list, and for the longest time, for all, I would say kind of this whole year. For example, I pulled my hamstring 2 weeks before Yokohama, and in my head I was like, well, if I go there and I don't have a great race, I can still get some points to qualify for the test event and get in the top 50 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Same with, Cagliari. Like, I knew my back, like, oh, I'll just go out a bit slower. My back hopefully won't tighten up. And then even Hamburg, it's like, well, I don't need to do amazing, but if I get like a top 20, I'll get good points to get in. So, but I would say around that Hamburg time, I was like, this is just not, this is not like the path. Like, I might not do the test event, and I kind of accepted it. So I don't know what you just asked, but like, I would say I did kind of accept
I asked, did you get rid of expectations?
Yeah.
Because that's been a huge thing that I feel like I have come across, where it's like the more expectation that I put on something and lose sight of reframing it as this is an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, expectation versus opportunity are two totally different things that I think can make such a huge difference in your performance. Is if you go into it saying, this is an opportunity for me to win today, versus this is my expectation that I need to win today. I think that you go into a race having more fun, you end up, performing looser, you end up being able to press harder when the time comes to really press hard, because you don't already have this tension within you, like, I need to do this, or it's like, you get to do this. And I think every athlete learns that eventually through the failures that they eventually have in the sport of, like, letting their expectation be their due.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think to kind of add to it is like I was saying, like, acceptance of, like, you can do all the training. And I had a coach tell me once, like, you don't work hard and bust your ass and do all this stuff to win. You do it for the chance to win. And like, that's always kind of stuck with me. And like, I think maybe after last year, and after, the 2021 season at the Olympics, I kind of just was like, oh, like, I figured this out. I got to stay healthy and do this mobility and this gym work and all this stuff, and I'll be fine. I'm going to get on the podium and like all my races. Like, I've been on the podium and all, like, I've done 3, I was like, I'm going to be ready to go. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like all this stuff happens. Some of it is in my control, some of it's not, and you just got to kind of accept it. So, and I kind of, I did kind of accept that I might not be racing the test event. And then, the night before I got a call and I was on the start list.
No, it was the night before. So that you weren't even
I was
thinking about the event.
Well, I was there, and I was there to see the course. There's a course preview. I could see it.
Yeah.
There was a relay event.
You went through the motions as if you were racing.
Yeah. There was a relay like the day after or 2 days after that. I was like, hopefully they'll put me on the relay.
Yeah.
So I was preparing to race, and I trained for it like I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And then a guy got COVID, and another guy got a stomach bug, and it was like 5 p.m. the day before
your luck
the race.
finally changed.
Yeah, exactly.
And then everything must have clicked in the race for then you to have that performance set. Like,
I mean, my back was in a lot of pain, and that stuff is. I would like to think I could have run a lot faster.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I could have run a lot faster. Maybe you don't believe me, but it doesn't matter. I know if I'm healthy, I will. But it was almost like, despite all that, I was able to like kind of overcome, like kind of like the story of the season of like, despite all this stuff, like I'm still going. And like, I kind of ran, the guy who won, Alex, like he went up the road, but I was like, I kind of ran at that limit of like, if I go any faster, my back and glutes are just going to completely give out, and I'm probably going to be walking, but I know I can hold this for a 10K. So I just did that. I was leading the pack the whole way. And like, with like 2K to go, I'm like, there's like 7 guys or there's 6 guys, like I'm going to make it. And it was just like,
with 2K to go, you were like, you got
I forget, like around then, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
on the last lap, I was like, oh my God, like I just went from like not,
Yeah.
you know, you're in the moment, you're racing and like trying to get the most out of it, and then all of a sudden you're like, I can do this. Like, I just got to hold it together.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, I ended up getting sixth and like.
So was it all worth it? Like, was that, like, can you really think back now and think about the injuries you went through, the darkness you felt in that dark moment, and then having such a high after all that is just insane.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was worth it. And I think a few things. First off, I do believe I improved a lot this year. I just wasn't able to show it. Like, I trained extremely well this year. I think, you know, I'm at a different level than I was last year and the year before. I mean, I raced a World Cup and won. I broke away on the bike solo, and like that was a big deal for. I mean, it's the second tier race.
For sure,
it's not as
sure.
big, but like, you know, I come from a running background, and
to be able to have
to
power
like
on the bike,
yeah, to like get in the breakaway on the swim and then break away from those guys is like, that was pretty.
You're
cool.
dangerous. Then.
Yeah, that was
you
pretty
get
cool.
to that point, you're dangerous.
Yeah. And just like some of the run training I've done this year, I just know I'm at another level. So yeah, I mean, this year, you know, I do think I grew a lot as an athlete, and then I do think, you know, dealing with all this, I feel different, you know. I just finished my like off season, and I feel like I just have a different feeling towards next year than I think I might have if everything went well this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I hope I can figure out the back thing, and I think I am, but yeah,
that's like talk about like a never give up story.
Yeah,
you know, like it really is. Like it really truly is. Like, not to sugarcoat it anymore, because it's an incredible story as it sits, but it's just like, I mean, give me a break to be that low and then a few months later be qualified for the Olympic Games. Like that does not happen. You know what I mean? Like that does not happen. Like it happens in like a movie script, you know, where someone is like, oh no, everything's going wrong, everything's against me, and then all of a sudden he's a champion. You know, that doesn't work out like that. So, and it's go ahead.
No, I just, you know, for those listening, I would say like, I never really, like you said, never gave up, but like, I never gave up on like the day-to-day like I always kept, you know, persistent in the training, and like all these things that, you know, it feel like it gets hard to do that stuff when things are going so bad. I mean, you know, like you've had injuries, you've dealt with stuff, we all have, but like it's those moments where that you have to have the never give up attitude, not the test event where I got in and things are going great and I'm going to make the Olympics with like 2K to go. Like that's when, you know, you got to push, and that's racing. But it's those moments of, you know, it was that day where I was like on the bike and I was like, what the F am I doing? Like, should I just call it? Like, but I just, you know, I was sick.
You kept doing all those little
I mean, I was
day in,
sick.
day out.
I was sick, and I, you know, it wasn't smart for me to train, but I got all these tests, and I went, you know, flew to see different doctors and stuff. Like it was just that you got to keep going, you know. What are these steps I'm going to take to get better?
You made your own luck.
Yeah.
You made your own luck, you know. Like even when there was, you know.
Yeah. So like if you're injured and down and sick, like just those are the moments where you have to make the good decisions, you know. And things are going well, like that's almost when you can get away with
it's easy
being stupid a little. I mean, don't, but
yeah, for sure. It's like when when everything's clicking and everything's going good and you can push yourself and all that, like take advantage of that too. But like that's a huge sentiment and lesson that I'm going to take today also, is just like, even when things aren't going well and you feel like you're not at your best, like that's the true, I think, defining moments of a champion, you know, of a champion like Morgan is that even when you're dark and things aren't going well, to stay in your routine and keep doing things day in and day out to get to where you think and you hope to get to is such a huge lesson. It just reminds me of like the Des Linden quote of like, keep showing up, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that. I know that the story I love to tell is like before the World Championships 5K and like the prelim, like I had this neural tension where I felt like I couldn't even sprint.
Yeah.
Like I did workouts leading up to that, and I like couldn't break 30 seconds in a 200. Like I was running like 3 flat Ks, like pushing, you know, and I'm just thinking like, I'm about to be on the starting line with like, just absolute killers. Yeah. And they're going to rip my head off.
Like an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I literally got to the point where I before the race, I looked at my girlfriend looking for a cop out, just to be like, please tell me that it's okay for me not to start today, because I thought I was going to embarrass myself that badly. Because on the strides I did the day before, I was like doing stride outs, and it was so, like, the tension was so bad in my hamstrings that I was like, I can't run. Yeah. Like, I'm literally going to get dropped like you did on that ride, except in front of 30,000 people in Eugene. Like, it's like I'm not going to make it to 800 meters with these guys if someone decides to go out in 2:05, you know? But all of a sudden, like, I had spikes on, adrenaline was pumping, and things worked and things clicked, and it felt great, you know, and qualified for the final, which I never even thought. Like, I had zero, like you said, I had zero expectation. I was so low. I didn't even think I was going to race, you know? I wanted to not race. So
you still
gave myself a chance.
Like, you still did what you had to do.
For sure, I did.
You didn't skip the warm up. You didn't eat Chick-fil-A the night before. Well, maybe you did, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you still got to do those right, make those right decisions, and I don't know. It sounds like it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's the big lesson of the day. I want to change gears just a little bit. I want to have a little bit fun. Two of my favorite, like, Morgan Pearson isms. Is like you would talk about, like, your enemies like in the sport, and you'd be like, oh, enemy, and like you kind of said it as this joke when we were racing, where it's like you could be best friends with that guy, but you're still gonna be like enemy, you know. So I wanted to talk about that just a little bit. Like, who do you feel like right now, even if they're your best friend, is like an enemy to you, where you're like, you know, you gotta like put them on a poster and say, you know, I gotta, you know, keep them in check, keep them close.
I would say the French guys are the enemy right now. I mean, they're, you know, the relay will have another good team at the Olympics, and, you know, the French, the British, the Germans, these are all the enemies.
So you're going after the countries.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pick out individuals on camera, but I think, I mean, listen, I want to beat everyone. So
for sure,
we all know who the top guys are. But yeah, the French are, you know, when we get to Paris, they're gonna be motivated on their own soil too.
For sure. And they're gonna have the energy, the crowd, you know, there's something to them for sure. Like,
and I think they're gonna work together too. So it's almost like
they're gonna go all in.
Yeah, that's why I kind of said them too. You know, the relay and, like, as an individual, they just have such depth in their team. Yeah,
for sure. I would say that I'll do it too. I would say, like, there's a bunch of guys, you know, in Europe that, like, I'll definitely be going head to head with, like, trying to fight for, like, a medal at European 5K this year. That's, like, my big goal.
Yeah.
Is that so? Like,
that's outdoors?
Outdoors. Yeah. It's in Rome this year. It's, like, before the Olympics, so it's in June. So, like, that is also where I'm hoping to, like, get the qualifying for the Olympics and enough points and everything at that race, kind of like all in for that. But there's, like, Mike Foppen, who's this guy from the Netherlands, who, like, he's a homie of mine, and I know he's going to be right there. He's an incredible season. And then there's, like, two Swedish guys, Algrim and Danielson, who have both been running out of their minds, got their double thresholds, you know, going. So those are the biggest direct enemies right now. And then on the state side, I feel like I'm constantly racing Ben Flanagan. Yeah, like I'm always racing him, and he, like, always outkicks me and gets the better of me. So, like, I really want to flip that script this year and get the better of him a few times.
And if 5K or less, you got that guy. Yeah, he's a good runner.
Man, he, like, his range is crazy. Like, it's a road race. He does really good half marathons.
If it's a road race, you're not winning.
Especially if it's like a Silicon Valley Turkey Trot champ.
Was he there?
No. Yeah, he wasn't there head to head.
Well, yeah, that guy he wins, like, the random road races, and
you don't show up to Falmouth. And expect an easy race if he's there. That is for sure. And then the other Morgan Pearsonism, to wrap this up, is, like, used to say, like, what's the claim this weekend, boys? What's the claim?
That's from Matt.
Say that. Yeah, that's right. His claim, Matt. So I guess I just wanted to wrap up with just, like, what's the claim? I want to hear it.
For right now, the claim is, like, get back in shape, because I did a 3-week break, which is the longest, like, kind of break I've ever done, probably, outside of, you know, being injured. So like, get back in shape and don't let anyone see you with my shirt off.
Right now,
I'm definitely a little overweight, and it's probably for the
wearing
better.
the speed suit to the local rec centers right now.
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So how about you? What's the claim?
Yeah, I feel like my claim was like the medalist at Europeans this year. Like that's the big claim for sure. And then I guess like the other big claim is breaking 13 this year. Like to make a big jump. I feel like if I'm gonna get in that sub 13 club, it's got to be this year. To capitalize on the 13:05 being the Olympics end of this year and like the standard being so high. But of course, like Olympian is like number one, like whatever it takes to become an Olympian this year, like tearing my calf at the trials in 2021 and missing out on a chance to compete in Tokyo was definitely
What's
a brutal experience.
How do you qualify this year outside of the time?
So like the point system is basically like you need to be like top 42 and high enough points. So like you need to have 2 outdoor 5Ks and then either an indoor 5K or like or a 3K. You can use like one of those, and you take like points together of those 3 to go all in. Yeah. So like this year, I like posted like a story like trolling myself over it just because like I thought if I ran an outdoor 3K, then my indoor 5K would count. All of a sudden, because I thought you needed 2 5Ks. It didn't matter if they were indoors or outdoors.
Okay.
So I ran this outdoor 3K.
So that just didn't count at all.
And my 13:12, like my best mark, like didn't even count towards like my qualification for Budapest all of a sudden. So I was like literally the last guy in just because, I mean, I didn't run fast enough, plain and simple, ahead of time to get enough points outside of that one. But I definitely built my schedule around thinking that I didn't need to run another big 5K because I only need to run this outdoor 3K, and then that indoor 5K would then count for points. It's a ridiculous system, and like I'm not going to complain about it one bit. It's the cards I'm dealt this year. It's going to be hard. I'm either going to be one of the first guys in or the last ones in, and that's why I'm making these big claims right now where it's
But you don't have like competition in Germany. Like if you...
Yeah, for sure. There's like 3 guys that are all capable, I'd say. Like Mohammed, he's run like sub 13:05.
Okay.
And then there's a few guys like Max and Arent that have both run 13:20, and I think they're both or one of them's run sub 13:20. But like they're both guys that can make a huge jump this year. Okay. So like it's definitely going to be a fight.
Will you race? What's the one, the March sound running? Do they have that this year?
The 10K? Absolutely not.
Because I might do that.
If they have, like, I think that if they have a 5K outdoors, maybe I would extend like my indoor season to do that. That would be sweet just because, like, you can only have one indoor mark.
But that would count
towards the points. But that would count towards outdoors. So I really just have to capitalize on those outdoor races.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish I would have capitalized in Budapest this year. Like I fell on my face, so didn't get any points from that. But that would have been a big one. There's definitely a ton of stress, like it's definitely something that like I'm dealing with and like having to, and I feel like right now like I'm talking big game in order to give myself that Morgan Pearson confidence, like I'm talking myself into having this confidence in a way that I know that confidence is necessary to run those times, like you're not going to run those times unless you believe in yourself like full-heartedly. And I like always think that in order to be successful, you need to, believe in yourself, and you also need at least one other person to believe in you in that journey, whether it's your coach, preferably it's your coach, but it could be also be another teammate or your family, I think it's probably like both our moms in our case. But.
No, I agree. Like I kind of wrote down my goal for this year. And then I wanted to just kind of like, I usually have like, I'm going to do this, like 30 things. Like I'm going to like run this many miles, bike this long. But like, I wrote down 3 things, a lot simpler than normal. And one of them was just like have confidence in myself. And I mean, I think, this not to, just to kind of like, it's so easy to like build yourself up with false confidence, but it's also so easy to just, when things aren't going right, like to just have that, like no confidence in yourself. Yeah. I'd be like, oh, I missed this run and I missed that run and I missed this workout. And like, for me, like I go through that all the time where it's like, oh, like had COVID and now I need to like make up the training and do this and that. And like, I think, yeah, like for you and for me this next year, it's like, no matter if we miss a run, do this, do that, like we're still the same people. And we have to have confidence. Like we're not, nothing's really going to change over the next year. You just kind of need to execute, I guess. Like you're not going to like get new legs and do all this. So you just need to have that confidence in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I'm in that same boat that you were talking about where it's like, I'm just trying to run an hour pain free right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's like where I'm trying to like rebuild my confidence, like just through doing. And I'm really trying to have the approach that it sounds like you had during your darkest moments where it's like, what is the best things I could do today?
Yeah.
It's like making sure I don't skip like my hour cross training an afternoon. It's not skipping my like Achilles loading program. It's like doing those things that I know that's going to add up at like the end of the day.
And it's so easy to skip that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it's, I if you want to wrap up, just let me know.
No, you're
But
good.
like, do you think about like a 3-mile double and you're like, does this do anything? Like going out for 3 miles? I was talking to someone about this.
Yeah.
He's like this young triathlete and he's like, oh, how should I get better at running? I'm like, just like do like 3-mile doubles a week. And he's just like in the moment, it feels like stupid. But like, if you do that over, that's like almost 10 miles a week over 50 weeks, like that's 500 miles a year, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
So that stuff, like in the moment, it just sucks. And or like, hopefully it doesn't suck every day, but a lot of times it sucks and just to get going. But over the course of, a year, it does make a big difference. So that's how I think about it now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I never have looked at it in a way where it's like, yeah, it might be just one set today.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, if I'm doing, like you said, like if I'm doing 3 sets of 10 squats, and I miss that, then all of a sudden, like that end of the year add up.
Yeah.
And like that could be it.
Or like so like I started trying to do like mobility and that stuff every day after last season being like super messed up and injured. And like, you just think of like over the course of, like, cause there's weeks where I'm like, oh, I missed a few days and like, oh, I'm such a piece of shit. But it's like, you're like, no, like, don't let that bring me down. Like, let me just not miss it today. And then over the course of the year, it's like, oh, I've done hours and hours and hours of this. And like, I go see a massage therapist who I haven't seen in a while. And they're like, wow, your body feels a lot different. You're a lot looser and stuff. So it's just, it is kind of like, in the moment hard, but that stuff does pay off, I guess.
That's just
what
like
I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, for sure. Like I definitely think that like living in the weight room is kind of another thing that I'm kind of like trying to instill with myself where it's like, yeah, even if I'm just going in there to do like light core and activations and mobility, like you better still get down there today.
Yeah.
That's going to set you up to feel better the next day.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that stuff adds up like big time. How often are you doing? So you're doing, what is your like protocol for like health now? Like you're getting massages every week, I assume, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still coming back from the break, but like in season, it's basically like 2 kind of lifts a week and then like try to get in the gym or like just do stuff at home every day. Sometimes I have 10 minutes, sometimes I do for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like try to do a massage once a week and then some like PT or dry needling once a week. So, I mean, obviously it didn't work because I was basically injured all year, but, I'm working with some smart people and I think I'm getting to the bottom of my problem. So
yeah, for sure. What is a day in the life? Like, let's just like can you tell me like you can give like, what is your hardest day of training look like? And then what's like your easiest day of training look like during your like core base, like you're like building towards your peak phase.
Yeah. The hardest day is probably, it was probably Saturday. I do my long run Saturday.
So wake up what time?
Like 7:30. And then, so long run. And, I got a different coach like about a year ago now. And I've been doing like long run workouts once I get into like pretty good shape. So I was doing some like 18-mile long runs with like, I did a workout. It was like 4 by 2 mile and a mile hard at the end.
Continuous, like during the...
Yeah, like with a mile jog. So it was like this was after Hamburg when I was like, I need to get my ass in shape. And he started giving me some really hard training.
Yeah.
So like that Saturday, that morning run, that long run is pretty tough. And then so that might be like start at 8:30 or something. And then at 3, I'd go to swim with these triathletes. And it was like usually a pretty hard swim. Like maybe, I'm trying to think of a set, like maybe like 12 300s, like descend by sets of 3. And like by the end, you're just basically going all out. And it just sucks. And I'm usually getting destroyed because yeah, like those guys didn't do 18.
Fresh.
Yeah. And then like maybe finish with an hour bike ride after. So yeah, that's a hard day. I mean, actually over the summer, that stretch between Hamburg and the Testament, I was like really training hard because I was like, I need to get, like, it was kind of like a 3 weeks or a month or something where it's like, it's kind of now or never, you know, like if I get in, like I want to be ready.
Yeah.
And so my Wednesdays would be like, I'd wake up and do intervals on the bike on the trainer. So like maybe like 5 by 10 minutes hard that's the interval. So like obviously in between and warm up and cool down. And then I'd go swim, and then I'd do a bike race at night.
Yeah.
And then I'd run hard off the bike. So like do a hard mile off the bike and then do like a 5-mile jog after. So like that was honestly, like I loved it, but that's a pretty intense day, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because you're doing like a bike workout. It's
like how many miles on the bike?
And then I do it indoors in the morning, so it'd be like 90 minutes. And then the evening, the bike race was like 45 minutes, so maybe 20 minutes warm up.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, maybe a little over an hour total. And then, yeah, like a hard mile, like 4:30, depending how I was doing. And then you like jog another 30 minutes. So, and then a swim in there too.
Yeah. So then the day after, what is this like easy day look like?
Yeah. So
after like a huge
so my easiest day. Yeah. So my easy days are generally Monday and Thursday. On Thursdays, I usually do a lift, and then when I'm like peak of my training, my coach gives me like a 2.5 hour bike ride, easy, and then I swim with it's like.
So you're still doing a 2.5 hour bike ride.
Yeah.
And just swim on your easy day.
Yeah, that's my Thursday, and then my Monday is like I usually do.
Running easy days are like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And probably skip the weight room in the afternoon.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing about
It's just a different ballgame.
It's different. Yeah. I don't know if it's smart, but hopefully we'll see next year.
Train insane and remain
Yeah.
insane, man.
Yeah.
Well, Morgan, thank you so much for all the insight. This has been an amazing podcast. Really enjoyed talking with you. And I cannot wait. And I'm sure all our listeners are going to be excited to follow you throughout this year now and then into the Paris Olympic Games, seeing you in the red, white, and blue repping out there for Boulder, Bighorn, TC. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, hopefully you're there. And
yeah, that'd be good.
Hopefully we can, watch each other race. And,
yeah,
I'll look forward to like kind of following the team this year. I know we all have big goals, so best of luck. And yeah, hopefully we maybe get a run in between then.
Cheers, bud. We'll do it. All right. That was awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
It was fun.